So interesting enough, we've got two new small Samsung tablets, the Galaxy Tab A9 and the Galaxy Tab Active 5. So which one is better? Should you save your money and go with the Tab A9? Well, let's talk about it. Pricing is going to be quite a bit different between these two. You can get the Galaxy Tab A9 for less than $200, where the Galaxy Tab Active 5 is over $500. Storage options for the Galaxy Tab A9 is 64 or 128 gigabytes versus 128 or 256 for the Galaxy Tab Active 5. Only 128 in the United States though. Then you've got 4 or 6 gigabytes of RAM for the Tab A9, depending on which storage option you go with, versus 6 gigabytes for the Active 5. As you can see, the overall size of these tablets are pretty similar, but you have a larger 8.7-inch display on the Tab A9 with 800 by 1340 resolution versus an 8-inch display on the Active 5 that's got 1200 by 1920 resolution. So a little higher resolution for the Active 5, and it's up to 120 Hz refresh rate versus 60 with the Tab A9. When you put them next to each other, you're going to notice the Active 5 screen is smaller, but it has better resolution and better viewing angles. One advantage for the A9 though is it's quite a bit lighter at 332 grams versus 433 for the Active 5. Also, the build quality on these two are quite a bit different. You've got a plastic back on the Active 5 that comes off so that you can get to the battery. The Galaxy Tab A9 is more of your traditional aluminum on the back, but they're both about the same height and the same width as far as the overall dimensions. So they're both pretty comfortable to use one-handed. Battery life between these two are actually pretty similar. The Galaxy Tab A9 lasted about 6.5 hours in my typical battery drain test versus 6 for the Galaxy Tab Active 5. So plenty of power to last a couple days with mixed usage, even longer if you turn the screen brightness down. But if you want the tablet with better battery life, you'll want to go with the Tab A9. One big advantage for the Tab Active 5 is you can actually remove the battery, which you don't normally see these days. So if you had an extra battery, you could just swap them out, or it's just easier to replace a couple years later if you want better battery life. You also have pogo pins there on the side for the Active 5. I assume that's for a charging dock. Software-wise, the Galaxy Tab A9 currently on Android 13 versus Android 14 on the Tab Active 5. So things are going to be a little bit different, but still fairly similar in a lot of ways. You have the Edge panel over on the side, Google Discover or Samsung Free left of the home screen. You also have the navigation bar down here at the bottom, but it does look quite a bit smaller on the Active 5. Probably the biggest advantage for the Active 5 is you get the S Pen included for drawing, taking notes, and that kind of stuff, where the Tab A9 doesn't work with the S Pen, unfortunately. Another advantage for the Galaxy Tab Active 5 is you get Samsung DeX. Just keep in mind you can only use it wirelessly. Since it doesn't have video out, you wouldn't be able to just connect an HDMI adapter. But you also get a fingerprint scanner on the Tab Active 5 right there on the physical home button, where you don't have a fingerprint scanner on the Tab A9. And it's a little bit different having the physical buttons down at the bottom for the Active 5. Kind of nice that you can use those plus gesture navigation, which again is kind of surprising to have those in 2024. But keep in mind that tablet is a little more heavy duty and geared towards people using it in more harsh environments. You also have an extra button there on the side of the Active 5 that you can use as a shortcut for pretty much any app. Performance-wise, you get quite a bit better performance on the Tab Active 5 with an Exynos 1380 processor versus a MediaTek Helio G99 in the Tab A9. And you can see the difference here just looking at the Geekbench scores. You'll also get better gaming performance with the Active 5, though you can still play games like PUBG Mobile and Asphalt 9 fairly smooth on the Tab A9. Nice thing is you have a headphone jack on both tablets. You've got one speaker on each side for the Tab A9. Only one bottom firing speaker for the Galaxy Tab Active 5. Surprisingly though, the Active 5 sounds louder than you would think with just one speaker. But here's a quick sample of each just to give you an idea of what they sound like.
As you fade away.
The cameras on these two tablets aren't really going to be the best out there. You've got a 13 megapixel on the back of the Active5, 5 megapixel on the front, and then an 8 megapixel on the back of the Tab A9 with 2 megapixel on the front. So a little higher resolution for the Active5 on both cameras, and then up to 1080p resolution for video recording. Here's a quick sample of each just to give you an idea of what to expect. So it may come down to what you're looking for in a smaller tablet like this. The Tab Active5 does have quite a few things that makes it a better option for most people, but I feel like the Tab A9 is probably just good enough and quite a bit lighter to make it a fairly good option for some people as well. Again, it may just come down to personal preference and whether you want to pay more than double for those extra features and better performance on the Tab Active5. If you like tablet and phone comparisons, I've got quite a few more that I'm working on, so keep an eye out for those upcoming videos. So if you've made it this far into the video, you may want to say thanks by subscribing, and don't forget to give a thumbs up if this video was helpful. This is Brian from clHYSYncHB Productions. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.